More and more people, very successful people, are toppling over every day. Basically, success, the way we've defined it, is no longer sustainable. It's not sustainable for human beings. It's not sustainable for the planet.
That is Arianna Huffington giving last year's commencement address at Smith College. Now the president and editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post is spreading that message in her new book. It's called Thrive, the third metric to redefining success and creating a life of well-being, wisdom, and wonder. Good morning to you, Arianna Huffington.
Good morning.
So you were one of those successful people who toppled over, literally. Tell us what happened to you and what you learned from it.
So on April 6, 2007, I collapsed from exhaustion. I hit my head on my desk, broke my cheekbone, got 4 stitches on my right eye, and that's what started me on this journey of asking the big questions that we often stop asking in college, including what Greek philosophers used to ask, what is a good life? And I realized that both in my own life and in lives around me, we had shrunk a good life down to 2 metrics of success, money and power. And this is like trying to sit on a 2-legged stool. But sooner or later, you fall off.
So tell me how you've changed this frenetic lifestyle that you've been inhabiting for as long as I've known you.
Yes.
So first of all, you know, they talk about your keystone habit. What's the habit that you change first? And mine was sleep. I went from 4 to 5 hours to 7 to 8 hours. You know, Charlie and I share a love of naps.
Yes.
At the Huffington Post, we have 2 nap rooms where people can go and have a 20-minute nap and recharge. But then I introduced meditation in my life. And in the book, I have very small baby steps that people can take. Because the important thing is not to agree with the book, but to make these small little changes. And one of them is try and get just 30 minutes more sleep. Try and introduce just 5 minutes of meditation into your day. You know, everybody has 5 minutes.
But your epiphany came after your success. You were already, you had the money and power thing down. Do you think if you had adopted the approach that you're advocating in this book, that you would have been as successful as you are today if you hadn't had those sleepless nights and worked around the clock?
Absolutely. And also, I would have done it with less stress, less worry, and less unnecessary anxiety, because so often our minds move into worries about the future, about things that never happen. You know, Montaigne, you know, the French writer, said there were many terrible things in my life, but most of them never happened.
Yeah, but I want to follow up on Clarissa's question, because I think it's such a good point. You are Arianna Huffington of the Huffington Post. If I'm just starting out and I say to my boss, for example, Chris, like, you know, I'm going to go take a nap. I'm not going to answer my email. I need some time for me. I need to balance my life. When you're just starting out, Arianna, how can you do that and be successful when you're competing with other people?
But of course you don't do it like that. I think we now have, I have 55 pages of endnotes in the book that show the scientific evidence that you're going to be better at your job. That in fact we have athletes who are only measured by winning, right?
Right.
And they've introduced all these practices to make them more effective. I quote Charlie in the book because he interviewed Andy Murray, you know, the great tennis player. And Charlie summed up what happens with great athletes who are recharged when they get on the court. And then you actually said that, Charlie. He said it's as though the ball comes to you in slow motion. So when we are recharged and rested, whatever happens in life, we can deal with it. But whatever we are, whether we are starting out, whether we're struggling to put food on the table, or whether we're super
I know it's true, but I think it's hard to do.
And just to play devil's advocate for a second.
Well, I mean, it's easy to do if you have access to a place where you can take a nap. I mean, it's hard to do if you're working on an assembly line.
There is a tipping point. 2013 was the year of CEOs coming out not as being gay, but as being meditators. We had Ray Dalio, the head of Bridgewater, who actually said that he's been meditating for over 30 years, attributes a lot of his success to that.
Not only that, knows about my napping and said to me, you know, you can take less naps if you start meditating.
And make some news, Charlie. You're going to start meditating. I
am actually, because of what he said to me and because of the guy he recommended. You know as well.
The great Bob Roth. I was actually having a drink with him last night.
But I mean, the point is really true that you are best when you're at your maximum productivity, and if you can if it's just putting your head on the desk, that'll energize you, then you're better off.
You say women have to lead this revolution, too.
Women have to lead this revolution, Gail, because we are paying a heavier price. You know, women in stressful jobs have a 40% greater threat of heart disease and a 60% greater threat of diabetes. So we have no choice. And if you think of it, the first women's revolution was getting the vote. The second was giving us access to all the jobs and equal pay, etc. Still an incomplete revolution. The third one has to be to reimagine the workplace.
She's also a flat shoe advocate.
But just to play devil's advocate for one second, you know, you look at the Chinese and they're working harder than us. They are owning it in schools, and we're sort of eating baby carrots and hummus and taking naps. I mean, is there a sense, do you think, that we're getting a bit too soft as well?
Have you been to China recently?
Yes.
Have you seen what's happening? The levels of stress are unprecedented. I was in South Korea now, a similar kind of productivity focus, but what's happening is 40 suicides a day. Here in the finance industry, we've had more and more suicides, and you see changes. You see, today you read the story of investment banks that are actually saying, you need to integrate recharging in your life.
The lesson is to take charge of your own life.
Arianna Huffington, thank you so much. You're watching CBS This Morning.
The book is Thrive.